Just totally insane. And Trump talked to Joe for 3 hours. 3 hours is also insane. Trump's stamina at 78 years old is truly like mind-boggling.
Hello, everybody. How are you today? If you didn't know, Trump had a historic interview with Joe Rogan, and it was historic in a lot of different ways. And Matt Walsh here is going to go over that, as well as a few things just about that interview. Here we go.
So it's a big weekend for Donald Trump. It began with him on Joe Rogan. Last I checked, last night anyway, the episode had like 30 million views, which on just on YouTube. I don't know how many, then all the downloads on Spotify and the other platforms. But insane, just totally insane. And Trump talked to Joe for 3 hours. 3 hours is also insane. Trump's stamina at 78 years old is truly like mind-boggling. I'm half his age, and I've never done an interview that was more than 2.5 hours long at the most. And I always feel completely spent at the
I can't talk to my wife for more than 20 minutes without feeling absolutely exhausted. I don't know whether that's I'm out of shape or what, but it's a fact.
end of interviews that are that long. Now, sure, it's not like you're just sitting there and having a conversation. You're not running a marathon, but that's a long time to sit in one place and talk to somebody. It's very mentally taxing. But Trump, by the end of it, he seemed like he could go for another 3 hours. I mean, it was pretty remarkable. There were a bunch of great moments. It was 3 hours long, so you can kind of take your pick. I'll play just one clip. I don't think I need to play more because, well, first of all, like everybody in the country has already listened to this episode, apparently. But I did enjoy this little moment on the Rogan show. Here it is.
So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild
Maybe. Maybe
You said a lot of wild and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this pre-prepared politician lingo. And even if they didn't agree with you, they at least knew whoever that guy is, that's him. That's really him.
Jeb Bush was the perfect foil for him back in 2016 because that's all Jeb Bush ever did was talk in political cliches. It was absolutely brilliant how Trump just filleted him.
When you see certain people talk, certain people in the public eye, you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. It's very difficult to know. You see them in conversations. They have these pre-planned answers. They say everything. It's very rehearsed. You never get to the meat of it. One of the beautiful things about you is that you freeball. Like you get out and you do these huge events and you're just talking and you're making. We've highlighted you on the show many times when you did this Biden impression where he's walking around, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's funny. It's stand up. It's funny stuff. But it's like and you were making fun of Elon one time. You were doing an Elon impression. It's great. You have like comedic instincts. Like when you said to Hillary, you'd be in jail. Like that's great timing.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of stuff was unheard of as a politician. Like no one had done that.
I just got to break in here. This is probably one of the first times anybody has ever used the term free ball in a political conversation. While I was waiting tables many, many, many years ago, we had something called free balling that we used to do. And you really don't want to know what that is. So here we go.
I do think it's probably the presidential history there. I think it's probably, I don't know this, but it's probably the first time in American history that somebody has used the term free ball while talking to a presidential candidate. And also wild too. Probably the first time that those two terms have been used in a conversation with a presidential candidate. So he said that Trump, got a lot of attention, ultimately won because he said a lot of wild stuff, and the media covered it constantly. Now, I don't think that most of what Trump has said is actually all that wild, and Joe didn't mean it as an insult, obviously, but there is a strategy there that we'll get back to that in a moment, actually. The point for now is that Trump has done something here that Kamala Harris just could never do. And Joe Rogan said in that interview with Trump that Kamala was supposed to do the show, I guess was supposed to have already done it, and but she didn't show up, Joe said. Of course she didn't, because she's completely incapable of sitting down and talking on camera in a forum like that for 3 hours or even 1 hour.
She would be a blithering idiot by minute 30 and an absolute mess by minute 31. Seriously.
Now she definitely can't do it, because if she does it now, then she has to go the full 3 hours, because that's what Trump did, and that's just not going to happen. Because it's not possible to stay on script for that long in that kind of environment. And Kamala is so fraudulent and so fundamentally hollow and empty that she can't have an unscripted conversation without all kinds of guardrails and rules put in place ahead of time. And unfortunately for Kamala, it's the worst possible timing for her, because she happens to be running against the most unscripted politician in American history.
And that's one of the best things about the Joe Rogan podcast, is that it's such a very long interview. There's a technique to this, and as a car salesman, you use it all the time. You just get people talking. They will tell you whatever you want to know. You just have to keep them talking. And again, it's the beauty of the podcast, because you keep people talking, and information that they normally would not come out will come out. You just have to prod them the right way. Always understand, people love to talk about themselves. Okay, and all you have to do is just let them, and you'll figure out anything you want. Okay, it's kind of like the concept of baseball. You're playing so many games a year because you're weeding out. I mean, if you're a really good team, then you're going to win most of those games, and then that way the best teams are the ones that are going to the playoffs. But that's the theory anyway.
She's the most scripted going against the most unscripted, and it's not a favorable contrast to her. And in that way, Trump has really changed the game here. I mean, obviously he's changed it in many ways, but this is one of them, and I think it's a very positive way that he's changed our expectation for political candidates. Because now we expect them to be real people, to be able to sit down and have a normal conversation. And Kamala is just an empty pantsuit. She's a total fake, completely vacuous, but not unlike many other politicians in that regard. And it wasn't always that way. You go back to before the modern era, before modern media and the internet and everything else and cable news, and politicians were serious, thoughtful people back then, capable of having long conversations, But then modern media came along and cable news, and it meant that these people would be in front of our faces all the time, but only for brief moments. Brief but constant moments. And that gave rise to the talking point politician, the soundbite politician, the politician who speaks in 45-second sound bites, tailor-made for cable news and internet clips, but can't speak beyond that. And the vacuous half-wits like Kamala Harris have just thrived in that environment. But then came Trump. And Trump speaks off the cuff. He's unscripted. He'll talk to anybody in any forum. He'll do 3-hour interviews. He'll give 90-minute unscripted speeches. And so he's changed our expectations again. And so we're going into kind of this third phase of politicians in America, where now you need to be able to get attention, get coverage, generate media as Trump does, and all of that. But you also need to be real and authentic and unguarded. I think the age of the soundbite politician is coming to an end. And a lot of the current political class is in trouble because that's all they have. All they have are the sound bites. And that's certainly the case for Kamala.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically what that interview was. It was a game changer. We now expect our politicians to be authentic and not just say the right thing at the right time. And, sometimes like Kamala Harris, you get politicians that just aren't good at either, and they need the weight of the mass media behind them in order to sell them and their message. And that's basically what we're up against right now. We're up against a media that is shilling basically for one of the presidential candidates. And that's, we got to use every way that we can to stop, but, pointing it out is the best thing to do. And that's why I'm here. So anyway, guys, I like your comments. Please give me more of them. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me, do you think this is an actual game changer? This interview with Joe Rogan by Donald Trump, is this the game changer that Matt Walsh thinks this is? I do. Like I said before, give me your comments. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Send me the subscriptions. That would be great. Okay, because as I said, man, I'm going to eat my kids' candy on Halloween if I have to deal with the fact that I don't have 100 subscribers. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Thank you all. Later.